In the turbulent Middle East scenario, tensions have reached their peak, focusing on the critical situation developing in the Red Sea, where Yemen's Houthi rebels have emerged as main actors. Despite concerted efforts by the United States and the United Kingdom, which included a major operation targeting more than 60 targets in Yemen, the Houthis' aggressive campaign against commercial and military vessels persists. This constant threat raises two crucial questions that resonate in global geopolitics. First, the effectiveness of US-led strikes in preventing and deterring increasingly bold maritime attacks by the Houthis is being questioned, especially given the US's recent designation of these rebels as global terrorists. Second, there are concerns about how the ongoing conflict and the substantial strengthening of Houthi military capabilities, backed by Iran, will impact the stability of the Red Sea region, a vital corridor for global trade. These concerns reach a fever pitch with the U.S. Navy's fourth round of strikes, a direct response to Houthi provocations, including attacks on U.S. cargo ships. The intensification of the conflict, combined with the impressive Houthi arsenal ranging from ballistic missiles to advanced drones, evidences the growing power of these rebels and the complexity of the situation. In the latest offensive, the U.S. Navy has launched a new round of attacks against the Houthis, triggered by recent attacks on U.S. cargo ships and the classification of the Houthis as global terrorists by the U.S. government. According to official U.S. sources, the operations included a nighttime launch of Tomahawk missiles from ships and submarines towards Houthi-controlled regions. Later, U.S. Central Command announced the destruction of 14 Iranian-backed missiles and numerous Houthi terrorist positions in 14 rebel-controlled areas of Yemen, ready to launch attacks. This fourth wave of attacks represents a significant development in the escalation of the conflict, highlighting the determination of the United States in confronting the Houthi threat. Previously, in the third round of strikes, the U.S. Navy and Air Force had hit at least 4 Houthi ballistic missile sites in response to missiles fired by the Houthis at U.S. warships and cargo in the Red Sea. This pattern of intense fighting reflects the volatility of the situation and raises questions about the future direction of this conflict in the strategic Red Sea enclave. On a night shrouded in tension, U.S. airstrikes, fueled by Iranian-supplied missiles, precisely targeted Houthi headquarters and missile units. Although the authorities have maintained a hermetic silence about these attacks, sources from the depths of Sana'a assure that the consequences have been devastating, with dozens of Houthis perishing as a result of the relentless bombing. Simultaneously, the U.S. Navy responded forcefully to 2 consecutive Houthi attacks on U.S. cargo ships, using ballistic missiles and bomb-laden drones. In the dark evening, Houthi arsenals of ballistic missiles and combat drones were also reduced to rubble. These attacks marked the breaking point for the United States, leading them to a determined response. What is intriguing is that this conflict has not only left scars on the seas, but also on the relationships between those involved. The Houthis, backed by Iran, have challenged U.S. sovereignty by raiding its warships and cargo ships, putting Iran in an awkward position. Reports from the corridors of power in Tehran reveal that Iran blames the disobedient Houthi leader for the losses it has suffered and has undertaken deceptive efforts to clean up its tracks. Interestingly, just 2 days ago, Iran attempted to change the narrative by turning attention to Pakistan, Iraq, and Syria. However, the Houthis, in an act of defiance, resumed their attacks on American ships, thwarting Iran's attempts to divert attention. This triggered intense pressure efforts by Iran, although the resolute actions of the United States managed to keep the focus on the crisis in the Red Sea. Now, in response to recent attacks on U.S. warships, submarines, and residences, the U.S. administration has made clear that it is fully prepared to retaliate against Iranian proxies. The unknowns accumulate. What master moves will Iran make in this game? How will the U.S. Navy prepare for the new dynamics in the Middle East? The CENTCOM has stated in a statement that the missiles pose an immediate threat and that the attacks seek to hinder the Houthis' ability to perpetuate their bold assaults against international and commercial vessels. Major General Pat Ryder, Pentagon spokesman, emphasizes that the United States will intervene militarily to prevent further aggression by the Houthis, who take advantage of every opportunity to attack vessels from more than 50 countries around the world. In this battle, collaboration with regional partners becomes imperative to avoid or deter future attacks. Amid growing tension in the region, Israel has carried out its fourth direct attack against the Houthis in Yemen, in an effort to prevent possible attacks by this faction in the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. This development comes in a broader context, as Israel's conflict with Hamas continues to expand across the Middle East. A few days ago, a U.S. operation on an Arab sailboat revealed ballistic missile components that the U.S. said Iran was transporting to Yemen. During this risky operation, one of the U.S. Navy SEALs disappeared after being thrown by a wave during the assault, while the second SEAL bravely followed his defeated comrade into the tumultuous waters. The United States subsequently issued a strong warning to Iran, urging them to stop sending weapons to the Houthis. Since the start of U.S. operations against the Houthis over the weekend, a series of events have been triggered. The Houthis launched an anti-ship cruise missile at a U.S. Navy ship, which was successfully intercepted. In subsequent days, the Houthis carried out attacks on a U.S. ship in the Gulf of Aden and a Maltese bulk carrier in the Red Sea. In response, the United States shot down 4 anti-ship ballistic missiles that were threatening to be launched, protecting U.S. Navy and commercial vessels in the region. In the most recent incident, a one-way attack drone launched from Houthi territory in Yemen hit the Marshall Islands flagged, U.S.-owned and operated MV Picardy in the Gulf of Aden. These attacks come amid the recent official inclusion of the Houthis on the list of designated global terrorists by the United States. The economic sanctions, enacted by President Joe Biden, seek to cut off this group's funding sources. This group, originally known as the Followers of God, was designated as a specially designated foreign terrorist organization and global terrorist by the Trump administration on January 10, 2021. However, in February 2021, the Biden administration withdrew this designation to facilitate the delivery of assistance in Yemen. Between February 2021 and April 2022, the Houthis expanded their territorial control in Yemen, despite failed diplomatic efforts by the UN and the United States to agree to a ceasefire.